Ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for being with us. Well, for today, I might surprise you. Look at our guest. He looks like a high school kid, but no, he's a founder, CEO, and a very successful young man. His name is Alex Kosyakov from New York, and the company that he founded is called Natreon. Again, at that age, he's already a founder and president of Natreon. He's based in New York. The mission of his company is, they're into car batteries that enable mass market electric vehicles. So that's a little bit of an introduction to our show entitled Crazy Talks with Wise People. Well, it's crazy because look at him. He looks innocent, right? He started off when he was in high school, right, Alex?
Yep.
Well, you were supposed to be chasing girls, dating, playing. What encouraged you to start with a company way back when you were in high school?
Yeah. I think, well, I was fortunate to, have gone to a really great high school. I had this teacher called Mr. Bramante, and he taught, he was a chemistry teacher, but he also taught this class called Research Seminar. And, you had to, it was one of the few classes in our high school you actually had to apply for, and Mr. Bramante would choose, who would be in the class. And the whole point of it was that, to just give kids some time in the day to just pursue, passion projects that they were interested in science. And it was through that class that I became really interested in rechargeable batteries. I think this was right around the time that we had Hurricanes Irma and Maria. This was my sophomore year of high school, and so I remember, Hurricanes Irma and Maria, I remember we would be, watching the news in class. And you talk about like Puerto Rico, they didn't have electricity for basically 8 months after those hurricanes. And it all had to do with the fact that, Puerto Rico is all renewable energy right now, and they've got no battery storage backup for all that renewable energy. So their whole electric grid went down for basically a year. And so, I thought if there could be better rechargeable batteries, we could prevent this from happening. And it's not just about clean energy, but it's also about energy independence and energy reliability for a lot of people, especially in developing parts of the world. So that's I got really interested in batteries, and in that class I kind of started playing around, started making my own battery cells.
Playing around.
That was my version of it. So it was and we had it was like an actual class block in the middle of the school day, but then our teacher would stick around after school, before school, let us come into the lab, do things. And so I started making my own battery cells, and then after that, he also helped me get into the Energy Storage Research Center at City University of New York, where I could do much more than I was able to do in the high school chem lab. So it kind of took off from there. So I started working on rechargeable batteries my sophomore year of high school, and that's kind of how it started.
No dates. No time for dates. Are you married to your business?
I would say so. The way I see it, it's all the time I kind of talk with people who started their companies when they were 30 or something, and they've already got their families, and they can't really make time on the weekends to work. So I see it as an advantage, actually.
Okay. Well, you established your company in 2018, and then in 2020, you were able to affiliate your company with the Department of Energy and yeah, with Department of Energy's Joint Center for Energy Storage Research. And then in 2020, yeah, you partnered with the University of New York's lab, and then 2020, you've got a lot of milestones in 2020. You're able to partner with Birmingham University Research, and then you were able to establish your own office too. And in 2021, very impressive, you got a contract with the US Air Force. How did you get it? It is, I know it's really quite challenging to be able to get a contract with the US Air Force. How were you able to penetrate the, red tape or so?
Yeah. Yeah. So I started Natreon with, and me and my so after kind of doing all this work in high school, I came up with, we had some battery patents, and me and my co-founder.
Oh my God.
Me and my co-founder and I started Natreon just as, a way of holding the patents initially. We saw kind of, we really saw kind of a business, a business case opportunity for some of these patents. And it's battery research is pretty expensive, and it's tough to kind of do outside of university labs. We knew we wanted to start our own lab, that was separate from some of these universities that we were working with. We before the Air Force contract, we applied for a lot of contracts, and we didn't get them. And it was funny because all these contracts, we spent like months preparing these applications, these proposals for them. And the Air Force one was just kind of, we saw this Air Force, opportunity probably like 5 days before the proposal was due. And we just kind of threw together, proposal kind of last minute. Literally last minute, we like submitted it with like 10 minutes to go or something. And this one just happened to be the one that we ended up winning. So
wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and that was our first $50,000 Air Force contract. With that, we were able to start our lab in upstate New York, and everything started.
Yeah, and you also had a $200,000 U.S. Navy contract in 2021.
Yeah, by then we had, with the Air Force contract, we started up our own research in our own lab, started to get, some really good results. And the Navy opportunity was for batteries for unmanned aerial vehicles and aerospace applications in general. And it was for really high performance batteries. It was a really tough proposal. But we worked with our partners at Binghamton University in upstate New York, and put together, it was, and also at City University. And, between all those results, we were one of the 3 winners of that contract as well. Yeah.
And in 2021, you won an award, the Mass Challenge Award in Boston. How did you win that award?
Yeah, so Mass Challenge is a startup accelerator. So this is a program for early stage companies where they kind of offer, they offer mentorship and, kind of really try to help accelerate, the growth of your company. And Mass Challenge is probably one of the biggest ones in the world. They're sponsored by Boeing, Mitsubishi, a bunch of different companies. And Mass Challenge Boston is probably their premier cohort. And we had actually applied to Mass Challenge 4 times before and have been rejected 4 times. And then finally, this time around, we got into the program, and then we became a finalist in the program. And we ended up being a winner of their gold award. which was it was quite a bit of cash, which was cool. But I think the best thing that came out of Mass Challenge was kind of all the relationships we built with the companies that sponsor the program. So now we do a lot of work with kind of those companies, and actually more recently submitted another Air Force proposal together with Raytheon, which is one of the companies that we met through or engaged with through Mass Challenge. So yeah, it was definitely one of the things that was that really kind of has been a big deal for our success going forward.
Perfect. Well, it really looks so glossy. It looks like, oh yeah, you've got all this success. But as a young entrepreneur, what are the challenges that you had faced from the very beginning up to now? I mean, at least 2 or 3 common challenges that a young entrepreneur experience.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, kind of that first Air Force contract got us started, with really kind of got Natreon started and got us off the ground as far as actually building a business. As I mentioned before, it was just kind of a company for, holding the patents. And here we were actually turning Natreon to an actual R&D and battery manufacturing company. And as I mentioned, I think battery companies, it's pretty similar to biotech. It's very, very high capital expenditures for research and development. The technology risks are very high, and the research and development timelines are very long. And so kind of how a lot of biotech early stage companies fail, there's people like to say that there's kind of a graveyard of battery startups as well that have a lot of them have failed over the years. So our main challenge was raising enough money to get off the ground. I mean, the Department of Defense and Department of Energy contracts were great, but we really needed private capital as well. And it was a real challenge raising that because, it's hard enough, being an accomplished, battery research PhD or something and raise capital for a battery startup. But here, me and my co-founder, we were still undergraduates in college trying to do this. And so, we'd literally have investors turn us away because they'd say you don't have enough gray hair on your team. So that was tough. I think raising the private capital was probably the toughest thing we've had to do. But ultimately, we found people who ultimately, what it came down to was just producing results in the lab that were, you couldn't argue, that these were good results, and going to people and showing them this and that. We had a young team, but we brought really great advisors aboard, with the experience to that we could always turn to. Finally made a case for the investors, and finally got people who believed in our vision to come aboard and bring in some money for the company. So but I think we spent probably 1.5 years just trying to raise our first bit of capital. And it's the toughest thing I've ever had to do.
So you need more investors?
Yeah, no, I mean, we spent, we spent 1.5 years raising, but no, we finally got the money that we needed, got all the investors aboard that we needed. So actually very recently, we closed out the round just at the end of last year. Yeah.
Lucky guy. Okay, you're blessed. Great. Yeah. And another question, will you advise young people to start up their own company, or would you rather advise them to start out the company when they're about 20s, 50s, or 30s?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, it's, when you're young, there are definitely advantages. As I said, it's like, I can be in the office in the lab all day and night, and I don't really have kind of family I have to come home to or something like that, or any kind of other commitments in life. I think that makes things easier in one respect. On the other hand, I think if especially something like a hardware startup, a hard tech startup, Like batteries, you know, it's not like some online business that you could kind of do on the side. You have to, you know, this is you have to fully commit, and there are definitely kind of sacrifices that go along with that. So I didn't end up finishing my undergrad in college, just because, you know, we had investors aboard and they were telling me, all right, you have this money, now you have to meet these deliverables for the company, and if school gets in the way of that, you can't let that happen. So I didn't really have a choice. And that's, you know, I definitely wanted to finish college, and I definitely liked college. And you know, some days it's like, yeah, I wish I was still just in college. So it's definitely, I think it's definitely something you have to want and want to make sacrifices for. And once like you kind of commit, it's, you know, there's no kind of turning back. So for some people, at least for me, it made a lot of sense. This is, you know, this is what I want to do and I've always wanted to do. And but yeah, it's just, I would recommend that, you know, other people, you know, starting companies at a young age, that they really have a good sense of the sacrifices they're making, and that's really what they want to do.
How do you run a company? You didn't have any experience being an employee. So who leads and who manages? And who does the odd jobs? And who does the corporate jobs?
Yeah. So it started just me and my co-founder, and it was always me. I was the guy always in the lab developing the tech, developing the you know, all the intellectual property and all of that. And then my co-founder Tom was kind of the business mind. So he was a finance student, kind of knew the basics that he needed, and so between the two of us, you know, it kind of worked. And as we brought on more people, Tom led the business development team, I led the tech team. And although I was technically the CEO, and as the team got bigger, it was less of me in the lab and more of me having to, you know, be the CEO, go out,
the technical aspect, yours, yeah.
Right.
So you started as a two-man team.
Yeah. Yep. And, you know, we learned as we went along, and there were definitely a lot of mistakes we made.
Yeah.
Definitely. But at the same time, I feel like there was nothing kind of I could have learned in the classroom that could have prepared me for kind of hands-on, you know, team management. But we were fortunate, as I said, we had really great advisors that we could always turn to, always ask questions and get their help. So I think that was critical, was getting those advisors aboard early.
Yeah. Well, maybe, you know, I think you sometimes won, and you sometimes learned. Okay, along the way. Okay. So where's the company headed now with all these competitions? Before I interviewed you, I actually read a lot about this battery thing and stuff. And then I read your website, and I was just awed because I saw that you have something else to offer. You have something new to offer. And that's why I told John that I would like to interview you in my channel, because we actually interview people who've got these ideas, and people that achieved something out of life, you know. Well, people that are kind of called crazy and a little bit of abnormal, not because of not on the negative sense, but more in the positive sense, like not normal, not normal in the sense. Yes, not normal. Okay, so what's the most among all those learning experiences that you have had, what was the most meaningful to you that you can carry on until your old age?
Yeah, I think, I think the company is still kind of in its infancy in some sense. You know, we're entering a technology scale up stage, and we hope to, you know, get our first product out to market in the next year and a half or so.
Mm-hmm.
2 years. And these would be, a component for electric vehicle batteries. And but I think there's a lot more that we want to do. We focused on electric vehicles so far because that's kind of the biggest and most accessible market for us right now. But as I said, we started this whole journey kind of started with wanting to build large battery backup systems for power grids, and that's still ultimately what we want to do. And so in that sense, and that's kind of, and we are working on battery systems for renewable energy electric grids, kind of in the lab, and hope to kind of bring those to market in the next 3 to 5 years or so. So we have a lot planned. There's still a lot to do, and my hope is that there are a lot of lessons, but honestly I can't really pick out one yet. My hope is that there's still work to be down the line, that and lessons to be learned down the line, that bigger than anything we've done yet. So yeah, I don't know. I think hopefully that's still ahead.
You know what? At that age, I think, my impression is that you were able to create a niche in the market. I mean, prior to your launching whatever product you have, based on your website, I just noticed that you already have had some ideas on how you're going to position yourself, what is your niche, and what are your advantages and disadvantages. And you were able to skillfully study all these things. How were you able to do that? You're not a business person. You're still, well, just like you said, an undergrad, college undergrad. And how were you able to do all these things? Crazy.
I mean,
Crazy.
it was just always, it just had to be done. I mean, one way or another, there's a job to be done in establishing, our beachhead market and our business model and getting customers. And yeah, I mean, we didn't know how to do any of that, but we had great advisors. As I said, we took part in these great programs like Mass Challenge, where, a big piece of that was, to help us do customer discovery and get us in front of our potential customers. So, but it really, I mean, it came out of necessity. We had to start, we wanted to start a business. We had to establish our model and and so we just learned as we went along and did what we had to, I suppose. And at the end of the day, again, as I said, I don't think this is anything we could have learned in the classroom either way. It's just we had to learn by doing. So yeah.
You're right. Experience is the best. Experience is the best teacher, or I should say, that's what you call experience, not the classroom, can actually teach you the best. Okay, well, we only have about 3 minutes more to go, and I really need to thank you for your precious time with us. And well, hopefully, a lot of people can hear this and or will watch this and discover you, discover a young entrepreneur. And so, Alex, what advice would you like to give to young entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I mean, I think if I think you have to. Yeah, I mean, there's quite a lot of advice, but I'd say, I've mentioned the role kind of that my advisors and mentors have had so far, and I think it's very important to get people aboard early on, where we'll always be on your side no matter what situation, and have the experience that you need, and we'll be people that you could turn to when you need to, and having those people, I think whatever any kind of entrepreneur will tell you is that it can be a pretty lonely journey sometimes, in the sense that you're going to have to do things that most other people in your life probably haven't, won't be able to tell you how to do. So you have to seek out those few people that will be able to help you out in those situations. And that you could turn to. And so, yeah, getting a jump on that early is critical, and it's definitely helped us. And I think that's the only reason that Natreon is still around today, and still on its way.
Yeah, I'm actually using your mug, Natreon. Natreon. This is a very impressive company run by young people. And yeah, they're already able to establish, gain contracts, and at the same time, changing the way the energy business goes. It's just an energy, right? Battery. And they've got a lot of things to offer us. So let's give them a chance and support them. So you'll be coming up, launching some of your products, and we will be here for you. We will be supporting you. I love to support young entrepreneurs because I was a young entrepreneur myself, and I have had all these crazy experiences. But then I think when you grow old, like 20 years from now, looking back, you'll thank yourself for starting young.
I hope so, yeah.
Yes, and I'm sure a lot of people will support you. The kind of products, I mean, you know, guys, visit their website. It's Natreon. What's your website again? www.natreon.co, right?
Correct, yeah.
Yes, I'll be putting it down below. Yeah, just read their website, visit it, support them financially, marketing wise, all sorts of support that you can give them. These young people are changing the world, and these are the kind of young people that we need. Actually, Alex, I've been lecturing around the world, and I really believe in the wisdom of young people. Not that I discount the experiences of the old people, but then my own experience is that younger people are more dynamic, they have more profound ideas, and they're more idealistic, and they want to change the world through their innovations. And so, you know, everywhere I went, you know, Africa, US, Canada, and everything, meeting young people, they really have this fervor to change the world. And so I'm happy that you're there and being a good role model for all young people all over the world. So kudos to Alex Kosyakov, the founder and president of Natreon. All right, Alex, just one few words and we can go. We have 1 minute.
No, thanks so much. Yeah, this was really fun, and it's great speaking with you. And yeah, I agree. I think you know, I'm glad to see that there's a lot of support for young entrepreneurs now, more now than perhaps when we started. And I totally agree. You know, a lot of my peers at this age definitely want to, you know, want to do their part, you know, for the world, whatever it is that they want to do. And a lot of the, you know, a lot of the time it's you know, a lot of the times it ends up, you know, whether it works out or not, you know, I think it's valuable to them, and it's valuable to everybody that they're trying to impact. So yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Alex. I enjoyed this chat with you. Okay, for all of you, our viewers, our listeners, thank you so much for joining us once again. And this is Mary Angela Moore for TVC in TV, Crazy Talks with Wise People. Thank you. Bye for now. Hey, don't forget, Patreon. All right, bye. Bye, Alex. Bye, all.